On tonight's episode of NXT, Asuka sends one final message to Ember Moon before their match at Takeover. We shed some light on Aleister Black, and did Sanity get their comeuppance? So we're going to find out about all of that and more right now, so stay with us.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the NXT After Show right here on AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm one of your hosts, the internet's Mark Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Donica. Joined as always by the one and only Bill Hanstock.
Hey, everybody.
It's Bill Hanstock.
It's me.
And joining us today, a very special guest. Hobo is out on assignment. The one and only Mike Malloy.
Hey, hello everybody. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
He's on hobo assignment.
Yeah, he's on Hobo, naturally being on Hobo assignments, not anything too complicated. Mike, tell the folks at home a little bit something about you.
Comedian based out of Los Angeles, originally from Boston. Been out here for about a year and a half, enjoying myself. Big wrestling fan, so glad to be here.
Glad to have you here, because this was a lot more dense of an episode than we've had sort of in the past couple of weeks. It's just been a lot of fighting to no real conclusion, whereas this week a lot of messages were sent, a lot of previews were had. Before we get too far into the show, what is something about Takeover that you're looking like really forward to?
I mean, definitely the debut of Aleister Black, formerly Tommy End. It'll be interesting to see, I think, how his style, like how much of his style he's allowed to keep in the WWE.
Especially after seeing his match at the UK tournament.
Yeah, it seemed like they had toned down his striking a bit, which is, you know, one of the best things about him is how hard he hits people. But I mean, if you watch that first match between Lorcan and Andrade Almas, maybe that's not going to be an issue because it seemed like they were letting him go at it.
I think they were sort of prepping the audience with this is how hard Andrade is going to get hit, if not a little bit harder. Yeah. Bill, what are you looking forward to the most for Takeover?
Bobby Roode's entrance.
Yeah.
The tag title match, and then Asuka Ember Moon.
It's hard to have a Takeover to not be excited about, and especially WrestleMania weekend.
We still got a couple more matches to line up, but
yeah, after tonight we got one for sure, and then there's one that seems like it'll happen, which we'll talk more about when we get there. It's hard to nail it down, but I'm excited for the feeling of a Takeover, especially on a WrestleMania weekend, and look forward to being in the building.
You'll be in the building.
Yep,
you shall be there.
Yeah, Hobo and I looks like right now we're going to be able to go.
Nice.
So I'm still hoping.
Is that thanks to our mutual friend?
I believe that is thanks to our mutual friend.
Cool.
Yeah. But speaking of Oni Lorcan...
Wait, which mutual friend? This mutual friend or...
no, the other one.
The other one.
Yeah.
With the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun having inside chat live on the air. Let's talk about this first match. Oni Lorcan versus Andrade and Almas. This started as like a high school breakup fight, breaking up a fight in the locker room. Like, hey, don't you hurt my friend Ho Ho. I'm gonna kick your butt at 3:00 on Saturday. Why come in on Saturday? Just to fight. Who knows? But this was an awesome match. Mike, what did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely hard hitting. The guys going back and forth. It was, like I said, back and forth. It was, Oni getting offense in, Almas getting offense in, it looking believable, them selling, them telling a story throughout the match. I mean, it's pretty novel concept in the WWE.
Who knew? One of the things that I've been liking about this most recent flavor of Andrade Almas is that he never takes anybody seriously until they start hitting him pretty hard. And like his chest was beat red until he really started getting into it.
Well, that's El Idolo. He's the best in his own mind.
He's too good for all of us. Yeah, he is the best of us.
I'm just glad that Oni Lorcan finally got back to his roots of having a match against Andrade Cien Almas.
We figured it out.
Yeah,
these are his roots. Matches against Andrade Almas.
He was born fighting Cien, and he'll die fighting him.
It's a tale as old as time. I don't think that's
this
been
match
used
was so
ever.
good though. Like they had really good matches the first 2 or 3 or 8 times they fought, but I think that this was actually like the best.
Yeah,
it had it did what every good match in a series is supposed to do. It had callbacks, it had false finishes, and I think both guys got the crowd like super into it at the end, and yeah, just good stuff.
Yeah, the the strikes that Oni Lorcan throws out, you think you know where he's going to come with them, and then even the running blockbuster off of the ropes was so quick and whipped so hard that it could have been the end of the match right there. Yeah. I like how it literally took everything that Andrade had that he considers to put somebody away in order to get him the victory. Going back a little bit into the match, but he hits a bunch of quick elbows in the corner, then the double knees, then the hammerlock DDT, and that's what finally puts Oni away. But Oni had a huge dive off the top rope to the outside. I thought he was going to die. He didn't, or else he probably wouldn't have done it. Where do you want to see Lorcan moving forward, despite this loss?
I mean, I think right in the middle is probably where he sits. I mean, I like Oni Lorcan. I think he's a great wrestler, but is he more than that? I don't necessarily know. I think he's a good guy to work with those guys like an Almas, who hasn't necessarily connected with the audience, hasn't really found his way. He makes guys look good. He makes matches look real. He makes hits look believable. And that's the kind of guy that, you know, when you have another guy that you're trying to make look good, maybe that's the guy to put him with.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. If you talk to him sort of outside of the realm of being in the ring, he's a really cool guy, really fun guy, really funny guy, and don't know, he hasn't gotten the opportunity to really express himself too much. Like, that's why we keep going back to him trying to find his roots, because that was like the last major promo that he did, and that was months ago. So maybe do you think put him with a manager, some sort of a mouthpiece, somebody to handle the words for him so that he can take care of the beatings?
I don't even know that he necessarily needs that. I mean, he can just be a silent brawler. Like, he doesn't really need anything more than that, because what he does is the stuff in the ring, like the stuff out of the ring. And especially with a guy that's going to be in the mid card and just putting those bigger guys over, you don't really need him to have that much of a personality, do you? I mean, Dean Malenko got by for years just being a hand.
Very good pull. Very good pull.
Everyone loves Dean Malenko.
Yeah. What do you think Oni is looking to do in the near future?
You know, only he knows. But
God only knows.
Yeah. I just want him to do really anything. Like, he's already in a better spot with. I feel like he's already in a better spot with the fans than like Solomon Crow was.
Yeah,
and he just needs a little bit more time spent on him. I think I feel like he has so much more. I think he's capable of so much more within NXT than Roderick Strong or Cassius Ohno or, you know, any of these indie guys who have come in who were super established on the indies. Like, Oni was known on the indies, but he wasn't really known.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't like a guy who was around for 14 years and everyone loved him and he was, you know, a world-class guy the whole time. I think that he is more of a blank slate. I think that they just need to spend time on him and let us know why we should care about him beyond he's a great wrestler who sticks up for his friends and he hits people hard. Like, that's enough, but we just need a little bit more.
Yeah. And it keeps people on their toes, both in the ring and in the arena.
And I mean, you could even do something similar to him as far as character-wise that they did with Sami Zayn, except a different wrestling style. That
for sure.
Like that guy that goes out, gives it all, and like eventually maybe he does figure it out.
Yeah, he could be the next generation's Sami Zayn for sure. He has that underdog thing.
Yeah, I mean he's what, 190 pounds,
that's another thing too, is some of these dudes coming in from other companies fitting into the 205 Live weight class. Now there are other options in terms of coming up. It's not just NXT and the main roster, but it's also cool. I can be in the cruiserweight division on Raw or be on 205 Live and be featured there. And some of those guys, all they have right now, because there's so many people in so little time, is their ability and in their ring ability. And he would be a new type of fighter for that show.
Yeah.
I don't think that he.
But I don't think he would fit.
Yeah, I think he fits in way too well at NXT, and I think his upside is too big in NXT because he definitely has the potential to be like a Sami Zayn. He has the potential to be a Ty Dillinger, where he just like sticks around and people love him more and more just because they see him, and you know maybe he'll get some little personality trait or some little gimmick that just people will go crazy for because that's always the way it happens at Full Sail.
Yeah.
So I think he just needs that one little thing and just a little bit more time on him. He's a guy who could benefit from a secondary title, but NXT's too small. In an hour, they can't have a secondary title. They got 3 titles. That's the limit.
The only thing that I'd like to see them do if they do decide to do a secondary title is like a rookie title. Like you're only capable of holding it within your first year.
Like
of
a Young Lions Cup type
essentially,
thing.
yeah. And like as soon as you hit that year mark, you have to drop the title.
That's
and
a
then
great
there's
idea.
another tournament
That's a really good idea.
to crown the next person.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like a best in class trophy.
Yeah. Or like I mean when what FCW had, what was the FC 15 title for a little while, like the Iron Man 15-minute match.
Right.
Do something. I mean, don't just have another title for the sake of having a title. Have it be a title that's for a different thing.
Yeah.
Like for a gimmick.
2 out of 3 falls champion.
Yeah.
They pull those
Even
out every
that.
couple months.
Well, when we were watching, you suggested trios champion.
Yeah.
I think that's an awesome idea too.
It would be something fun. You know, especially trios is a great way to cover up guys that have flaws, and especially in developmental, like that's where the guys are.
And help develop those skills further with the safety net of more experienced folks.
Yeah, I mean, you got guys like Sanity in the ring with someone like Eric Young, who's been doing it 15 years. It's a little different than him just being outside the ring yelling stuff.
Yeah,
it makes it a little more, you know, on the job learning. Yeah, I mean that stuff that he does on the apron, like that. That's important stuff if you're going to be in the business for 15 years.
He was barely in, when we get to it, he was barely in the match, but his presence was felt all throughout.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's great to have, especially since we're getting more of those, as they say, talent from around the world coming in with their experience. It's helping everybody.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that we'll see a lot more of Oni Lorcan within the next year or more, and hopefully they don't just relegate him to 205 Live or something like that, and give him a good enough shot to fit in where he needs to. This was a big promo show. We had 3 matches total. We got a little bit of a word from DIY talking about what it took to scratch and claw their way to the titles, and how it's been a really long 12-year journey, and this is a really well impassioned promo that, as much as we love the Revival here, makes me feel like with enough heart they have an opportunity to win. What do you feel about DIY's chances at the NXT Tag Team Championships?
I don't know necessarily that they're going to walk out with the titles, but I know it's probably going to be the best match on the card. I mean, it's between those 3 teams. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fast paced. It's probably going to blow the triple threat tag team match the next day out of the water. I can't imagine, you know, Cesaro and Enzo and Cass and those guys being able to follow that. But I mean,
I would love to see them try.
Oh, I'd love to see them try. Yeah, they'll definitely let them. But yeah, I mean, as far as DIY goes, I mean, I think they're those. You know, as far as the main roster goes, I think they're mid-card guys who, you know, every other year have a title reign in them for a couple months. As far as Revival goes, I mean, I think they're the top of the class as far as tag team.
So I'll bring in their promo as well. They talk about how later in the show they brought the best of the past to the present, made it better, said they were better than Arn and Oli, and all of these countless amazing tag teams that we know from yesteryear. But they're better than the best, and they're the only people to put down the authors, which is technically true. It hasn't been in an actual match, but they're some of the only people to take them off their feet, which is an impressive feat in itself. And it's their fate to become the greatest tag team of all time, and a little bit more so than DIY's promo. I believe them because they've shown their work.
Yeah, and I think that's a big difference between the main roster and NXT is the fact that winning matters in NXT. Like Ember Moon hasn't lost since she got in there, so or at least a one-on-one match, so she's getting a title shot. Asuka hasn't lost since she set foot in there, so she's been champion for a year and a half. Authors of Pain haven't lost, so that's why they're tag team champions. Like, guys win, and then they get the shot instead of just being like, I want the shot. Like, there wasn't a single in-ring promo today, was there?
Only Asuka before and after.
Yeah, but like that was what, 15 seconds? Every single storyline from the show moved forward in some way, which isn't always the case with other stuff. A lot of times it's just guys come out, repeat the same things that they did last week, and we're gonna have a match next Saturday. And but like this, everything progressed
Because they have a much tighter program that they need to maintain, and they need to remind. Sometimes, like with tonight, Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura, neither were on the show.
No.
And nobody sort of even connected to them were on the show. So that's why we got that awesome video package. That's what NXT kind of does best is either right before or right after a takeover, they give you the hard-hitting action that you're used to, but then, oh, here's all of this story in a wonderful, tightly knit package. Like last week, the Ember Moon Asuka one, where Asuka was in her palatial estate by her fountain.
That was great.
Wonderful. Yeah. So that's something that I think NXT brings because they don't have the time to afford like some of the other shows do. They have to make up for it with something Paul Heyman used to say: hide the negatives, accentuate the positives. Negative, they're showing on time. Positive, we got a whole bunch of video editors here.
And they also give you a reason to watch next week. Like tonight we found out there's a match next week and what it is and what's on, what's at stake. Last week we found out, this match is going to happen. Like they always set up the next thing, which I mean, I guess that's the benefit of, recording all four one day, what's going to happen. But
What? They're not live every week? Come on!
But like this week on Raw, I haven't been given a reason to watch Raw next week. Nobody told me why should I tune in this week.
Next week, WrestleMania.
I mean, but like, do I have to watch that?
Probably.
Who's
Gober,
to say?
Gober and Bork.
Oh yeah, they did say they're gonna.
Yeah, Gober and Bork are gonna be in the house next week.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Yeah, a little bit of Gober in my life. Speaking of Asuka and in-ring promos, she's fighting Priscilla Zuniga and grabs a mic, totally disrespecting the fact that she has an opponent in the ring. Ember Moon, this is your fate or your head.
Yeah, we didn't know.
The accent's pretty thick. This is your fate. And kicks Priscilla straight in the face, to which she barely has an opportunity to fight back because Asuka just unloads with hip attack, knees, kicks, all over the ding-ding place. Doesn't even... it seems like she wins, puts her down for the 3, picks her back up, and locks her in an Asuka lock. Priscilla tapping instantly, but Asuka seeming to leave a message at the tone for Ember Moon. I just rolled with it, but keeps it on a little too long, almost for a disqualification, but ends up taking it. This wasn't really a match as much as it was a display of strength. Who do you have in Ember Moon versus Asuka?
I mean, I think Asuka probably wins. I like Ember Moon, but I don't think she's done enough down there yet to hand her the ball and let her run with it. And like you need to call up Asuka in the fairly near future. Like what else has she done, or like what else does she have left to accomplish down there?
I would like to see her win and then go, okay, I beat everybody.
Yeah.
Well, and
then literally drop the title.
That's a part of what I don't like about the relationship between NXT and the main roster right now is there's no real determination. Like there's no you do this and you get called up. Like I think at every exclusive pay-per-view, have a 6-man contract match, or the next one it's 3 women face off, and the next one it's tag teams face off, and if they win, they get promoted to whatever brand that pay-per-view is on.
That's a cool idea.
And at least it makes sense instead of just this guy showed up. He worked for that company, but now he works for this company today. Because
the kayfabe explanation for it is that NXT wrestlers are technically free agents, and then the Raw SmackDown commissioners can either choose to sign them or choose to draft them when there's a draft.
But like now for somebody like Elias Sampson, if he gets fired and then shows up on Raw, it's just like, well, we saw this goof just get fired. Like instead what they could do is have a match at WrestleMania where it's, throw your 6 guys that you feel, one of them could be called up. that leads to maybe 10 guys being called up a year. That's a pretty good number. How many got called up this year? About that?
A lot, especially after the
More than
after the
10.
draft.
Which, you know, you just have Apollo Crews showed up. He never won anything in NXT.
He had. Well, I mean, not everybody can win everything in NXT because there's not much.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is, it was interesting to get the Neville promos when those happened. Be like, Neville coming soon, and then he came out. It's like, wait a minute. There's usually like a week or two to where
and almost always the person who debuts on the main roster has just lost too. Corbin showed up after having just lost to Samoa Joe, won the Dre.
Apollo
Lost to Samoa Joe and showed up on Raw
And it makes it easier for the
at
title.
the Access tape.
at the Access taping. That's right.
And it makes it easier for the title. Like, let's say that person who gets called up is the current title holder. That gives you, okay, they have to drop the title. So now we have a new tournament in NXT, and then, you know, we're putting over a new guy.
Because that's what I was thinking for
Without having the guy lose.
for
who's not called
Asuka.
up.
If she drops the title, do you make the women's championship the focal point of the rumored women's tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
If-
totally
if you're
possible.
doing that,
Because
why
that's what happened with Paige. When
Yep.
Paige got called
Yeah.
up and won the Divas title, then she wasn't allowed to hold both titles.
That
so
bothered we talked about that endlessly.
I bet.
But yeah,
I hope it was a different title. not the original.
no, it was the original. Yeah. But Asuka Ember Moon, regardless, is going to be a wonderful match. A lot of hard hits. Asuka ended the segment with a lot of shouting in her native tongue of Japanese, and ended it with no eclipse. So she's going to try to find herself not hunched over near the corner in order to get hit with that devastating eclipse finisher that Ember has. We already talked about the Revival promo. We find out that next week is a little bit of a taster for the tag team triple threat. We're going to be getting Johnny Gargano versus Akam versus Dash Wilder in a standard triple threat match, no elimination. Triple threat means no disqualification. There's probably going to be a lot of tomfoolery. Probably a no decision, but we'll find out next week. Then we got the promo that was Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That was extensive, but if anybody who's just tuning in to NXT for the first time, that is a great way to get caught up with everything. Any thoughts about that?
I think the packages that they do for this are obviously great. I mean, I think NXT understands that the best way to protect their talent is to not have them in the ring talking for 15 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not going to get guys over that way. It's short, it's succinct, it tells you everything you need to know about the person, tells you everything you need to know about the situation, and gets you to go, oh, okay, I like that. That sounds good. I'll watch that. Isn't that what the point is?
Yeah.
What,
If you weren't already hyped, you're even more
yeah.
hyped.
I was gonna watch anyways, and I see that and I go, oh, I'm definitely gonna watch. Not that it changed anything, but I'm like, I'm certain now that I'm going to.
And it makes you think forward to Bobby Roode's entrance and Nakamura's entrance and the entrance off that they are going to seemingly have. It'll be like a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll. Why not? Gross. A little bit of promo in the back. Jose Roderick and Dillinger are ready for Sanity. Are they? I guess we'll talk about it in a moment. Next week, we're going to be seeing Heavy Machinery. We're a fan of our Meat Boys. And those guys, 650 pounds of pure man, coming to NXT next week.
Our big beefy babies.
Our big beef babies. Our triple Bs.
Curvy boys.
Clara Pell doesn't have to ask where the meat is. Because
There's
it's in
the
the ring.
beef.
It's Otis
There's
and
the
Tucker. They just finished tuckering into some delicious pies.
What if that's their gimmick? Is that they just run around stealing pies off windowsills?
Just like...
Well, no, what their gimmick should be is, do you remember that period of time when like Don Morocco would come to the ring eating a meatball hoagie? He like ate a meatball sub during a match. It was like the greatest thing ever. When he was beating up some scrub. Just like, keep going back to the corner, and like the Grand Wizard or whoever would hand him the sandwich again, and he'd take another bite.
The sandwich of power.
It was the
Broodwitch?
like the Undertaker's urn, but with a hoagie.
But a sandwich.
Yeah. Meatball sandwich will make you say, "Oh yes." We got a promo from last week after Cassius Ohno lost his match for the NXT Championship against Bobby Roode, running into Elias Sampson. Elias saying that he doesn't think that Cassius Ohno belongs. Well, Ohno doesn't think that Elias Sampson belongs. How are we gonna settle this?
You got chocolate, my peanut butter.
Turns out that we're gonna be having a loser leaves NXT match when, sometime, probably next week, because that's the last week before Takeover. But they never said next week, or
it could be at Takeover.
Could
they
be at
just
Takeover.
scrap the one they taped and.
Ooh.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
I guess
maybe.
we'll find out. But speaking of Takeover, the card's already full. We find out that Aleister Black is going to be debuting against Andrade Cien Almas at Takeover. So we have
that's
a
only 4
huge
matches.
card. Well, I mean, there's the possibility of a bigger fifth.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the bigger fifth? I haven't.
Let's talk about our main event. Sanity versus No Way Jose, Ty Dillinger, and Roderick Strong. The fight started as a brawl on the outside, and then it started getting a little bit slower. Roderick, I think, shined the most in this match because he finally had an opportunity to get revenge on Sanity for all the crap that he's been pulling on him. Who was your standout?
I mean, Strong definitely looked the better in the ring of the six. I mean, like we said, Young didn't get in the mix a whole lot, but I think that helps guys like Killian Dane and like Alexander Wolf. Like they got to do stuff. I got to see them actually in the ring working with somebody. And I mean, yeah, like I said, Strong, I don't know what he's going to be in NXT. Like I said, him as a face bores me. I like yelling at Roderick Strong and telling him he's an awful person and that I hate his boots and that his hairline's trash. Like that.
So
those are
the
things
good
that I
guy,
like.
the good guy persona, not really falling
do it.
for it.
He's never been good at being a good guy.
Yeah.
No.
Ever.
Because what did he say that one promo where he was in the gym, where it was like, I'm a good guy, maybe I won't be, like
Yeah.
something super transparent.
Yeah.
Where it seems like he's just leading these guys on in order to get
I hope so.
matches.
I mean, Aries is healthy now. I mean, he's probably not going to come back to the next
He's
team
got a
again.
match at WrestleMania. I don't think he's gonna come down.
He's like, see you, chumps.
I'm gonna go hang out with my friend A Double.
Why don't you eat my sparkle butt?
The Sparkle Butts.
So some
new
people,
tag team.
people were talking about in chat. They were talking about how the main roster can't support 10 call-ups a year. They definitely can because of injuries and people's contracts come up. But what I think is the problem with 10 call-ups a year is NXT definitely can't sustain that.
No.
Because there's usually like maybe
Well, I'm saying 10.
maybe 20
10 call-ups as
NXT
in-
people that you're familiar with.
So by 10 call-ups, I mean like 3 singles guys,
Right.
3
No,
women,
I
3 tag teams.
I get
Like,
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like at any given time in NXT, there's like maybe 20 people total. Because like right now the women's division's like 5 women. The
5 main contenders.
they-
I know, but like the people that you are familiar
Yeah.
with. So like
Well,
if
and
they're-
in terms of in the past couple of takeovers who have had title matches,
Mm-hmm.
Mickie James doesn't count because she's on the main roster and she was always a main roster person. But that's Billie
but then
Kay.
you also have right now the women's division is essentially Asuka, Ember Moon, Billie Kay, Peyton Royce,
Nikki Cross.
And now.
Nikki Cross,
And now, what's her name?
Ruby
Ruby
Riott.
Riott.
But like but
as a
the-
title contender.
But I mean you have Aaliyah, Mandy,
Daria.
Daria. Aaliyah and Macy and
Yeah,
like
Macy.
you have a bunch of people, but you definitely don't have people understanding who those people are. So what happened last year was all the women got called up.
Yeah.
So we had to get introduced to all new women. So there was this huge learning curve and adjustment for like fans and for the talent. So what I'm saying is like, yeah, they can probably sustain 10 on the main roster a year, but you have to really spread that out over the course of the year.
Yeah, I mean, if you're only losing somebody from your division every 4 months,
Right.
like that's manageable. Like they sign probably 5 to 10 women every half year to NXT, right?
Yeah, and sometimes 1 or 2 in between with like the bigger classes.
And especially, I mean, if they're doing the women's tournament like that, a lot of these times that they do tournaments, half the people end up being signed. Like
Yeah,
most
and
of the- you know, a lot of-
reportedly there were 2 or 3 signings in the past week or so. Yeah, and we haven't even seen. We've only started to see women who have been signed over the past 6 months start to show up.
Yeah, and I mean, in between now and next year, they could add, Tony Storm, they could add Candice LeRae, they could add, those the 3 Is it 2 or 3 Japanese women from Stardom? I can never remember their names.
Well,
Io.
so far it's only one officially.
Yeah, and the others are rumored.
Okay.
Kyrie Hojo signed.
Yeah, and like them, Deonna Purrazzo, I think could be a great addition. Dahlia Black out of
I mean, we're gonna have the women's tournament.
Yeah. So
It's
we're
gonna
gonna
happen this summer.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be familiar with a bunch of new women. Like, so yeah, but you do need to continue to have things like that happening. You do need to continue to introduce people on television.
But because then that plus the Cruiserweight Classic plus the UK tournament introduce people en masse over the course of 2 days. And now, as we're going to talk a little bit more in after we talk about the show and news and gossip, now like the Cruiserweight guys were showing up on NXT and still kind of show up on NXT, and then Raw, and then 205 Live, and then we got a UK title match on NXT, and some of those UK guys showing up on NXT. So now there's all of this worldwide talent that is going to be showing up that's sort of padding out for the times when we may be a little bit short on talent. But I agree, they're signing a lot of folks with maybe not thinking enough about seemingly not having a full game plan of when they're going to be showing up on TV, or the game plan being sidelined by somebody being injured. Who knows?
I think something that they should be doing, which they haven't been doing in the last year or two, is, you know, if you have a guy on the main roster that's not doing anything, buy him a ticket to Orlando. Let him work a taping. Let him work.
That's what they used to do. Like I really liked when
Takeover.
Brodus Clay came down, worked a month. He worked one set
Titus
of
was
tapings.
there
Titus was great.
awesome.
Him and Sami Zayn had an awesome match.
Tyson Kidd had
Tyson
that
Kidd,
long run that was amazing.
Yeah, what's his name? Justin Gabriel had a fun
Well,
little run there.
even when that legendary Sammy Cesaro feud was going down, Cesaro was on the main
Cesaro was
roster.
on the
at
main
the time.
roster for that. But like that, I mean, send a Tamina down every once in a while. Send a Paige down every once in a while. Send a an Ascension every once in a while. Especially guys that were champions in NXT. Like use that. Send Bo Dallas down.
Like there was a little while ago when Ascension was there for something. It may have been live. That's right.
The first Dusty. Tournament.
Yeah, they came down for that and they got a hero's welcome.
Yeah.
The Ascension, much love here and much love from the NXT crowd. Let's finish up talking about this 6-man and then we'll go into a little bit more detail, a little bit more depth with the time that we have left. My favorite thing about this match, despite him not being in that much, was Eric Young. He was shouting at Ty the entire time, just running the ring from the corner. And for the second that it looked like he was in control over Jose got a tag and a Ty, and then he ran and tagged in Alexander Wolf. They're keeping them away from each other, which just makes you want to see them beat each other up even more, which is what happened after this match descended into chaos. There's a no decision. Eric Young got roughed up a little bit by Ty. He was going to go for the tiebreaker. Nikki Cross jumped on his back, and a, quote, mysterious woman broke up the fight and threw Nikki Cross off and out of the ring. That, of course, being Ruby Riott, the recently redubbed Heather Lovelace. Heidi Lovelace. Sorry, we're talking about a lot of different women, and it's throwing my brain off. Excuse me. It took all 3 men to knock out Dane and to get him out of the ring. Our heroes stand tall as the show goes off the air. And I'm digging Ruby Riott so far.
Sure.
Yeah. Came in hot start. I mean, and that's the big thing about NXT is they bring in people with purpose. Like somebody gets there, and more often than not, there's a reason they're there. Like within that first couple weeks, you're given an explanation as to why they're there. Cassius Ohno was back for a couple weeks, and he's like, I'm here for the title. That's what I came back for. I'm here for that. So give it to me. You know.
We did talk a lot about that in past weeks, though, about how that sort of didn't accomplish anything.
It was filler.
Yeah, I mean, it did
him a disservice, and
I mean, it at least got people. I think it got people back to seeing Cassius Ohno.
Sure, and it was definitely a surprise because he showed up the night like the first taping after Takeover San Antonio, and then we heard nothing for like the first month until he just showed up and said, "Hey, I'm back.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobby, I want the title." What? Okay. Yeah, but. It'll be exciting seeing what happens in the Lose or Leave NXT match, presumably next week, and what sort of trajectory that will put him on and where he will end up landing in the title landscape by the time Takeover is finished. Before we go, we're going to talk a little bit of news.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Gotta hit that drop. Before we talk about the awesome news from WrestleMania 33 Access, let's talk a little bit about the first generation of NXT finally coming to the network. If you, like us, used to watch it on Hulu or not, there is a gold mine of current WWE superstars that got their start in NXT on the network right now. Lose yourself in the network in the sweet golden streaked Seth Rollins that was. Were you guys around for early NXT? What was some of your favorite?
That was when I first started probably watching again, because
Yeah.
I'd taken a little hiatus for a while and then came back and was like, oh, this is pretty dope.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started watching it, it was like right when the Wyatts were like wrapping up down
Mm-hmm.
there, and Jim Ross was still doing the commentary, so it was certainly a golden era.
Yeah.
I was not around for it. I started watching NXT when it came to the network.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you've got plenty to go back and
Oh,
look
yeah.
up on. Big E's time with the championship was very fun, going for the 5 counts.
Bo Dallas's was great. Him getting dragged out of
I
there.
got
Yeah.
to see the end of Bo Dallas's run.
so
It was
funny.
awesome.
Super great. Did you guys wrote something up over on Uprocks or something about the
Brandon Stroud wrote up the first Full Sail NXT. People liked it a lot. It was really great. So he's going to keep doing that going forward. He started writing NXT recaps starting with Sami Zayn's debut.
Okay.
So at some point we'll have the whole set of Brandon Stroud Full Sail NXT recaps.
Complete the set. And the other little bit of news that we wanted to talk about was we're going to be seeing some progress and ICW contracted talent at WrestleMania Access.
Non-WWE talent.
Yes, which is very interesting. We're going to be seeing a lot of the folks from the UK tournament, but the folks that helped them make their name and appear on that tournament are going to be showing up in at Access, and some of those names include Jimmy Havoc, Mark Haskins, TK Cooper, Travis Banks, Dahlia Black, Tony Storm, and Ginny. United Kingdom champion Tyler Bate, Progress champion Pete Dunne, and ICW champion Trent Seven are also going to be appearing with those championships, which is cool. Hopefully, like the last year, they used it to access to tape NXT. But for this, hopefully we'll get some sort of special other than just the live streams of Access that they do every day. I'm super stoked about it. Bate is going to be defending his UK championship 3 times during the event. Facing Mark Haskins on Friday, Joseph Connors on Saturday, and Pete Dunne on Sunday.
And the even more interesting thing about that is that during that weekend on the 31st, there is a Progress show
In town.
in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I think also the 2 Evolve shows that weekend are themed as Evolve versus Progress.
Dang.
Like, that's not as strange because Evolve has such a close working relationship. Like, now that we know that there's a lot of smoke to this fire about WWE potentially bringing in Progress and ICW to the network, I think maybe after that weekend, after Access, maybe at Access, maybe at some event during the weekend, we might get that official announcement finally.
Yeah, having everybody there, being able to take pictures, sign all the paperwork.
At this point, it's like it's so like WWE.com. The headline was like Progress and ICW talent added to Access. It's like they have to announce this.
Soon, hopefully soon. I'm so elated that we get to see more of this UK talent that personally I'm not very familiar with, and the tournament was a great way to show what type of wrestling and what type of wrestlers the other side of the pond gets to see.
Yeah, and I just subscribed to Progress, and I love it so far. It's $7.99 a month. It's a hell of a deal.
So many great streaming services out there right now, and so many ways to watch things. Like Progress is also on FlowSlam,
FlowSlam.
And like WXW is on FlowSlam, but it's also on High Spots Network, which I subscribe to.
Yeah.
And then there's DDT, the DDT network, which just had Joey Ryan in an anal explosion match.
It always comes back to Joey Ryan
It does.
and anal explosions.
His ding dong or his beehole.
Make sure to
technical terms.
Stay tuned to AfterBuzz TV's Ding Dong and Beehole After Show, coming soon to an internet near you. That'll do it for news and gossip this week. Before we go, I just want to address next week. Is WrestleMania week, and Hobo's already down there. Bill, you're going to be traveling there on Wednesday during the day, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be here on Wednesday during the day, so we're going to see if we're going to have a little bit of an NXT preview, but we're not going to have a proper review of the show up for you next week, just because we're not going to be in town, because we're going to be getting you, the viewer, various pieces of wrestling media and interviews from the horses' mouths themselves. No offense to horses out there. So just be aware that we're going to have something in place of the regular show, but it's not going to be a recap of the episode. But if you want to know what we thought of next week's episode, you can always follow us on Twitter. Mike, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Very fun.
Definitely feel free to come back.
Yeah, I'm available.
Tell us what you're up to and where people can find you.
Yeah.
You can find me on the old the twitter.com. I'm at fake Mike Malloy. Throw off the people who want me dead. So there's that. And
It can't be him.
Yeah.
It says it's fake.
No, it's fake. And besides that, every third Saturday, I run a show at Meltdown Comics and Collectibles called On Deck at 9 o'clock. It's pretty fun. Check it out if you're in Los Angeles.
Heck yeah.
Thanks again, man.
If you're in Los Angeles, you should just go to Meltdown for a show.
Oh, yeah. A lot of great shows.
The Nerd Melt Theater. So good. It's still the Nerd Melt, right?
It's the nerdish showroom inside Meltdown Comics and Collectibles. Sorry, I didn't get the plug right, Caitlin.
So, yeah. Thanks for coming in, though.
Thanks for having me, boys. Much appreciated.
Bill, what are you up to, and what can the folks look forward to you coming up WrestleMania
As long
weekend?
as you can find me on Twitter at Sundown Motel, myself and Brandon Stroud from With Spandex at Mr. Brandon Stroud on Twitter. We will be in Orlando from Wednesday next week all the way through Tuesday. So if you see us anywhere, please say hi. We're going to be interviewing a lot of people. Got a bunch of exciting interviews lined up. Hopefully we'll be at Takeover. Hopefully we'll be at WrestleMania. We'll definitely be at Joey Janela's Spring Break Midnight Show on Thursday with our friend Glacier. But you can check out withspandex.com, uproxx.com/sports, and just today, like I said, Brandon put up his best and worst of the first NXT Full Sail show, and he's going to be doing his WCW recap this week. He's got a really cool WrestleMania feature coming up this week. The rest of this week and next week is just going to be all cool WrestleMania features. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at WithSpandex and check out the website every day, and that's how you can keep up.
Thank you, Bill. And you can follow me on Twitter at Mark Donica. We've got a lot of great stuff planned for WrestleMania weekend next week. We're going to be at Access. There's 6 or 7 of us going to be there at various times, so make sure you follow us on Twitter or AfterBuzz TV on Twitter to figure out where we are. Excuse me. We're definitely going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to be getting some great stuff at Access. Hope and I are going to be at Takeover. Still working on WrestleMania, but WWE has been very gracious with letting us be that one step closer to you and the superstars. Once we have a better idea of who we're going to be interviewing, just follow us on Twitter, and you'll be able to get your questions in, and we'll talk to them about what you want to know. Also, to help support us, to get sweet shirts like this one,
Or this one.
or that one, make sure to go to nxteam.spreadshirt.com. It helps support us. Everything goes directly to the folks that it's for.
Not that folk.
Not that folks. But Bill Hanstock and the Stock
She
Boys.
doesn't need money. She's got all that Stanford money. But it smells better and it's crisp. And it's worth more. We love you so much.
Yeah, I miss her.
I'm really hoping to see you in Orlando.
Yeah, she's not too busy. But make sure to head
She's
to
too busy.
nxteam.spreadshirt.com to support us.
Last Access, I got to see her just walk past me. That was the closest I came.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
And then also for everybody who's a fan of all of our other wrestling shows, we have our Monday Night Raw after show. We have our Monday Night Raw show on Monday night. We have our Tuesday night SmackDown live show on Tuesday night. Also coming back, Lucha Underground.
Thursday Night Titans and Friday Night Southpaw.
Oh, Southpaw. I was thinking we could do something
Let's do a Southpaw. Let's do a Southpaw show.
But we have to do it retro.
Let's do a Southpaw show, and we'll just go and kidnap them and force them to do Southpaw all the time and replace all WWE programming with Southpaw Regional Wrestling because it's the only wrestling that matters anymore. Anyway,
all
join
of the
us next
wrestling.
week for NXT when we won't be here.
This has always been the last episode of AfterBuzz TV's NXT After Show.
This is actually, with you here, you toned us down so much that it's the first time that we got renewed.
I toned it down. I'm usually the problem. I'm a bad
You have
influence.
no idea.
Buddy, you should tune into one of our other shows.
Yeah, all of our chat was like, that he has no idea what he's in for. We kind of kept it on the rails. It's that.
We're all good.
It's that transient.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's
say
who
any,
it
I
is.
didn't say any
That
cuss
vagrant
words.
element.
It's that vagabond. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow us all here at AfterBuzz TV. Leave us a review on iTunes and a comment down below. We love you, and we'll see you in Orlando.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.